Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Blake. I'm the founder of the Black Podcast Club. And today we are going live with the creative director of Boss Locks Podcast. He goes by the name of Walt the Great. We're going to come here today just to share some good gems, some good knowledge. Walt is one of the OG Group Me Club members. He's been rocking with the club since day one, since the club wasn't even a club. So I just really want to come on here today. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the live. We're going to share some good gems with you. I'm going to wait for Walt to join in. But the purpose today is to really highlight Walt. He's been a part of the club, like I said, since day one. He's been a very dedicated member to the club. And I just want to show him some love today because he's doing great things in the podcast space. And I know he has some great knowledge, some gems to share with you all as well. So super excited to have him join. I see him in the audience here. So we're going to wait for him to join the live today. I know a lot of you guys might watch this on the replay, but if you are watching it live right now, feel free to chime in with some questions inside the chat here so we can be sure that this is as engaging as possible because I want you all that's listening, that's watching, to take away something from it, to take away some great knowledge from it. And so look, we got the boss himself. Let's view this request, get him on the. Yes, sir. So it's gonna be great, y'all. This light is super bright in my face. I ain't gonna stunt. I'm a podcaster. These lights and stuff be driving me crazy. What's up, Walt?
What's happening, man?
What's
What's
happening,
up?
my man?
Not much, man. Not much. Funny, like just finished a podcast interview not too long ago for someone else's show. So yeah, I'm on the podcast zone today, ready to talk about all this, man.
Out here in these podcast streets,
In the
making it
podcast
happen.
streets, yeah.
Making it happen. But definitely, I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with me today to share some knowledge with our community today. So let's kind of kick things off by just telling people. I mean, you out here everywhere. People can find you, but go ahead and just tell people a little bit about you, what it is you do in the podcast space.
Yeah. So, by the way, appreciate the introduction, man. I feel like I'm overhyped, but no, I love it. I love it.
Man, I give credit
I
where credit is due, bro. Give credit where credit is due.
I feel that. I like your hair, by the way. I just think it's the first time I've seen you on video in a while too. See
Oh
the
yeah,
locks
yeah.
coming
You
in
know,
too.
I'm starting my journey. I'm getting ready for my
Hey.
interview
Oh,
next.
right. But yeah, so I like to say, I use my curiosities and insecurities to
Mm,
basically what I'm saying now is lead the world to new growth. And my whole goal with my show, Boss Locks, is to redefine professionalism and highlight Black leaders with natural hair from like all walks of life, and just really learn about their journey, their personal journey, their natural hair journey, their
mm.
experiences working while Black, and how it all relates and mixes with each other.
Yeah,
It's all about just identity. Like we really dive into so many different topics, but my main goal is to highlight these leaders that don't always get the shine they deserve. Like we had like the or the CEO of Wells Fargo being like, "There's no good Black talent out there." I'm like, come on, y'all,
right.
come on, y'all.
Right.
So
That's
yeah,
dope. That's dope, man. Now I know a lot of podcasters, they when especially new podcasters want to start out, they're like, oh, I don't know what to talk about, or I have this idea that I want to talk about, but I'm not sure how to do it. So
hmm
tell us a little bit about your journey from the initial idea stage of I want to do a podcast to where you are now.
yeah. It's crazy. My first instinct wasn't to do a podcast. I wasn't trying to do anything. I was just trying to get a job, So like this all started because I was just trying to figure out how I could get a job without having to cut my locks.
Mm,
And I didn't know if it was possible or not, but I knew a few people who had jobs and had locks. So I was really pushed a lot to actually start recording these
yeah.
conversations and sharing them. So I think that sometimes for new podcasters, we feel like we have to have this perfect topic, but it almost doesn't even matter. It's really just all about finding your voice. I think that matters more than everything. And I think
Mm,
that's what podcasting really taught me is how to find that voice. So I think sometimes it's not even about what you want to talk about. It's like, what do you want, I guess, from it?
yeah.
Whether it's a hobby, whether you're trying to solve a problem, start a movement, or just even using it to get a job or something like that. I think it's all about kind of what you want, and then just go with it, try it out, because it seems terrifying, it is terrifying, and it's
Mhm.
not terrifying all at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, those initial stages is kind of like you just got to start doing it. And
Right.
that's why, one of the things we always talk about is you got to know your why. Like, why are you podcasting? I think a lot of people can get caught up in the details of podcasting. Which platform to use, which
Hmm.
mic to get, what equipment to
How
get,
to monetize it.
how to monetize, how to get sponsors, and a lot of that stuff can be very overwhelming. And I know for myself, something that I've learned in my journey is that it's been a journey. Just similar
Mm.
to you. Like when I started, I didn't know nothing about podcasts. I didn't know, nothing about SEOs and headliner to do audiograms and all this kind of stuff. So these are all things that I've picked up along the way. And so that's why I always
Yeah.
encourage people to do, just like you said, like know why you're doing it and then just start, and don't be afraid to change and pivot and grow and evolve, because when you start a podcast, it's going to change. Like if you listen to my first episode, like I didn't have a mic back then. So definitely appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, my first episode I recorded with a iPad Mini. It's a second generation iPad Mini that I won somewhere. That's all I had. The sound quality was weird. It was kind of awful, but it's also like one of the, I think, most talked about episodes because like the quality was all there. So yeah, there's like so many ways to start, but I think like the biggest thing is just starting, because it almost doesn't matter how you start. It's
Mm,
like where how far you keep going with it.
mm,
Also want to shout out King of Locks, Kafeli's in here. Someone I interviewed on my show a while ago, and man, that's like definitely one of the most impactful episodes I had,
awesome.
especially talking about natural hair. So appreciate you, man.
That's dope. That's dope. Appreciate everybody being here in the audience. This is kind of a new thing for me. I ain't gonna stunt, like as the founder of this club, being on live, being on video. Like I'm a podcaster,
Bro,
and
you were
that's a
made
whole.
for this, yo. I feel like you'd
Listen,
be like, it feels like you just finished like with your 10th IG live. Like, all right, now time for the next one. Like you got the energy still. You like going, bro. This
yeah,
is you.
I mean, similar to like what you were just saying, it's kind of like I'm not super comfortable being on video, but it's something that if I'm gonna really be a creative in these spaces, I got to get used to it. So I kind of just
True.
started doing it, and even my IG live on my podcast page, it was something that I did to try to not necessarily force myself, but to become more comfortable just being on
Mm,
camera and talking and having a ring light in my face and stuff like that. So it's been an interesting process, and very similar to how you said, I just started doing it. And it's
right.
still, I mean, and truth be told, like in full honesty and transparency, it hasn't gone the way that I wanted it to, because I
Hmm.
haven't kept up with the consistency, but I've definitely gained some tools and enhanced some skill sets to do this video and do these live things. So I get
I
better
feel
as
that.
time goes on. And so I want to ask you a question that can probably help some people listening that or watching rather that
Yeah.
are podcasters. What is something that you gain on your podcast journey that has enhanced your life? Not Walt, the podcaster, the creative director, but what has enhanced Walt? Like how has your journey
Mm.
enhanced your actual life?
Good question. Well, a couple ways. It's kind of hard to answer because there's, I think, so many different ways. I think, like I mentioned before, I use this whole thing started with insecurities and curiosity.
Mm,
Um, the insecurities part is like very real, like from imposter syndrome, just to not feeling as though I could provide value or being the right person for this show.
mm,
This podcasting has really taught me to feel comfortable with myself out in the world and trust my voice and my instincts a
mm,
lot as well. Like I'm interviewing people who are just like some really exceptional people, like true leaders in their field, whether they realize it or not. And sometimes it's like a little intimidating. Like, man, first of all, like just trying to get people on the show. It's like, oh, you do want to get on the show? Okay, cool. And then once they get on the show, they actually enjoy it and everything. And I think it's just really taught me that it's like sometimes we feel like we have to have this or that to get it. But
mm,
there's this tennis player, black tennis player. I think the first black person to win the U.S. Open. He said, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can." And I think that applies to podcasting. I think it's a big lesson I've learned just from doing it, because I can spend hours planning and strategizing. But I think another thing that I learned from podcasting is all that hours planning and strategizing is
yeah,
really just procrastination. Like all those times you learn how best to create an Instagram post, you could have just created some Instagram posts or just recorded a solo episode or something like that. So it's taught me to trust my voice, trust my instincts, and be comfortable with myself, and to just go ahead and start doing it and see what happens.
That's dope. That's dope. That's the creative confidence getting better. I
That
like it.
creative confidence, yo. That,
Creative
by the way, that
confidence.
term. Ever since you said that to me, man, that's really stuck with me. I love that. I love that. I appreciate you sharing that with me too.
That's dope. That's dope. That's dope. We got some people in the audience. How y'all doing? Appreciate you all. If y'all got any questions, any comments y'all want to add to the live chat, feel free to do that. I just have a couple more questions for Walt.
Oh, I see one comment. They said which tennis player is Arthur Ashe. I'm actually doing a research project on him. I want to share it with my Patreon community just to because those words by him really just they'll probably stick with me forever. But yeah, Arthur Ashe is the tennis player.
Let's go to the Patreon community. I love it. I love it. I love it. So you've been rocking with the club since day one, like literally day one. OG group me member.
Yeah,
Share with the people a little bit about why you decided to team up with me on that post that I made. And to give you guys a little background for those of y'all watching, I made a post in Podcasting While Black. It's a Facebook group on Facebook. And if y'all want to join, feel free to join that. But basically, I made a post in there back in May of last year. Like, yo, I want to put together a podcast network. Who's down to do it? And really, I was just trying to pull together some people that could just support, motivate, and uplift each other in the podcast space. I wanted to meet other podcasters. So fast forward to now, created a club, a company, people like Walt, amazing podcasters that are just really being pioneers in this space and in this industry, and are making great waves. So Walt, in the very beginning stages, before we had the Instagrams and everything we have now, what was it about this idea that gravitated you towards joining?
man. You know what's so crazy? Like I still remember when I first saw that post because it was like, yo, let's all get this group chat thing going. I was like, oh, interesting. All right, yeah, because I had just joined the Black Podcast group, and then I saw that. I was like, all right, yeah, let's do it for real. And then just experiencing it, just I think really has helped my podcast journey. I think first off, like some of my reasons for joining, like I think something that we don't always think of is like this creative journey. It's similar with entrepreneurship, but it's just very lonely. It's like sometimes you're just by yourself, and you can have a community of people who are there to support you, love what you're doing, but you can't just hit them up, be like, "Can you help me with like the sound quality here?" Or what do y'all think about this approach of podcasting versus that approach? It's like you can only speak so much with people who don't do what you do. There's no fault on them. It's just like it's always good to have other people who are in the same field as you, so to kind of help you along, to challenge you, just workshop ideas, and also just just talk shit sometimes.
Yeah,
Um, and then not only that, podcasting is still like a very white industry. Like I forget that sometimes because of the
very
Black
much so.
Podcast Club, but when I'm in other like podcast groups and everything, it's like, oh, okay, all right, yeah, I forgot.
Yeah,
I forgot. So, man, I think just the Black Podcast Club is like, I think that club part is really real because it's not just some stuffy, like, yeah, let's get together, talk podcasting. It really is like group chat vibes, all that stuff. And it's like some incredible people. It's like, there isn't anyone there who takes away. Even if they're not contributing every day, they're still, when they do, they're there to be a part of it.
right.
Um, so yeah, I think, and the reason I decided to join it for real, is just watching you move and just the energy you created. Because it's one thing to join a group, but when you see that everybody's like on that same journey, and it's because this one person put it all together, that says a lot about the group leader and everything. So definitely want to appreciate you and like just the energy you've cultivated, because I know that's not like it's not like an easy thing to do. It's not just something that just happens. Like it's something that takes a lot of like curation and everything. And I just like to say I love the growth. Like you already like big time before the group, but just like seeing like the way you're moving and be able to balance everything, it looks dope. It looks dope.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Thank you. Like it was, and it's nothing without y'all. Like I always tell, something I always putting back on mind. Like my club is nothing without my club members, because without y'all, like I'll be just in an empty group chat by myself. You know what I'm saying?
Just
So
replying to your own messages.
right. So it's all about that energy. You know what I'm saying? We vibe well. We
Mm-hmm.
have synergy within the club, and we all are kind of, well, not kind of, we all are on the same path, which is taking our craft seriously, owning our
Right.
creativity, and really being business minded about it and creating the lifestyle that we want.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it looks like What's up, Logic Enterprises? Appreciate you being a part of the club as well. Supporting everything. We got a question here. It says, how do you maneuver through all the classes and seminars and offer suggesting how you launch your or you should run your show?
You know, that's a good question. That's a
It
good
is a good
question.
question.
You know, actually, I did take a podcast, like a program type of thing, I think in like February or March last year, and it did definitely help. But another thing I'd say is that sometimes we take these classes, they end up saying the same thing because at the end of the day, you just got to record that podcast and put it out. As far as learning, I think the things that would be good to learn is the difference between microphones. But even that, like, I mean, shout out to Marco. I think when he first, or actually you too, but like both of y'all started without any microphone at all. I think Marco was just recording into his phone, and his dope show is dope. So like, there's always something to learn. I think the biggest thing I learned from that program is once you think you've learned everything, there's like a whole sea of other things to learn. So as far as like maneuvering through the classes and seminars. I don't even know. I think it kind of was like what Blake was talking about, like knowing your why and what you really want from all this stuff. Like, what do you really want to learn and why do you want to learn it? Because you might be like, all right, how do I learn how to make this amazing show that grows a large audience? Well, all that stuff takes time and it's really all about just creating a really dope show and consistency. So
Mm-hmm.
you'll probably end up taking a bunch of classes that are going to teach you the same thing, but it's another way of procrastination. So I'm definitely for classes because I took it and it definitely did help, but I think sometimes you got to stop learning and start doing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's my thoughts. What about you, Blake?
Yeah. I would. I'm gonna somewhat echo that. Like once you figure out what it is you want to do, you'll be able to figure out the right class or the right webinar or that's for you. You know what I'm saying? But you don't know what you don't know until you're in a situation where you're like, what do I do now? You know,
Yeah,
and also like I'll share this. Like there's, I mean, Google is free. Like all the information that you can learn in the class, you can get it for free. But the thing about a class is it prevents or it yeah, it prevents that kind of just search process of looking for something that you really don't know what you're looking for. You know,
true.
so when it comes to starting a podcast and webinars and classes surrounding that, you got to really just look at what do you need to start a podcast, and what you need to start a podcast may not be what somebody else needs. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Similar to like how you were just saying, I know people that started with just their phone. Me, I started with my laptop. Other people started with a mic and other things like that. So once you figure out operationally how you're going to manage your podcast and what you're going to do and how often you're going to be doing stuff for your podcast, then you'll be able to better pick out a class or a course that'll help you in your journey, because you want to take something that's going to be beneficial for you. So like, cause like you said, like there's a ton of courses out there on how to start a podcast, and there's really no right or wrong way on starting a podcast, because it's not like your professor's going to come and be like, oh well, you didn't do this step so you get 5 points off kind of situation. You know
Right,
what I'm saying?
right.
So just step out there, do it, and you have to make it work for you. Like that would be my thing too, is like when you're looking for these classes, find a class that's gonna work for you. So
Hmm. Yeah,
um
and Melly's right, yo. Everyone is not a good teacher.
that part
Like
that
I think
part
Clubhouse turned a lot of people into podcast consulting. Clubhouse is so interesting because for a second I was like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna start a podcast coaching thing." I was like, "Wait, no, I'm not. I don't want to do that." So yeah, not everyone is a good teacher. Oh, and shout out to you, Angelique. Thanks for joining. She's gonna be on my show a little later too. That's hey underscore butterfly. She's
Shout
a
out
pretty
to
cool
Melly in the comments
nonprofit.
too. Another club member representing. But yeah, so any last advice that you would give to a new podcaster, a current podcaster, just podcast advice in general?
Hmm. Oh yeah, actually, this is something I'm kind of like just going through right now. I'm still just really trying to understand it all. But I think it's easy to get caught up in this rat race. Like one thing I always say with podcasting is consistency is key. But I think right now I'm embracing the fact that consistency is key, but like just your mental health and well being is more important than all of that stuff, and just knowing your capacity. So
Yeah.
like I committed to like releasing a podcast every single week on Tuesdays, and it's easy, but it's also like a challenge. But I think sometimes you really just gotta take a step back and be like, all right, can I do that right now? Am I at full capacity? Like, do I need to take a moment just to chill for a second? So I say it's easy to get caught up, and it's important to be consistent and be that person that puts stuff out consistently. But like, you don't have to like fall into that rat race. Like,
Right.
you got to do what's best for you. So that's my last piece of advice.
Hmm. That's dope. That's really dope because you can get caught up comparing yourself to what other people are doing, or you took a class maybe and they said you got to do this, but what you got to do is
Right.
like going against the grain of what you want to do as a creative. So you got to kind of figure that out. Um,
Fast. We don't have to all have to be Joe Budden out here. Like Joe Budden's got years of experience in music, and he's got money to make all this shit happen
and
on
he's got
time.
and he's got the money to put a solid team behind what he does.
That part,
You know,
team, yes,
people like you and I, we are the team. You know what I'm saying? And we support each other where we
facts.
can. We're not necessarily paying somebody to, hey, do 5 social media posts a day for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get there
Right.
one day, but right now
That's
we
right.
not.
That's right.
We still posting and scheduling ourselves. Um, but yeah, thank you for taking, like I said, taking the time to join the live walk. Really appreciate you,
Man,
man.
honestly, my honor, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate the invite. Appreciate the environment you created, man.
Yeah, most definitely. You know, like I told you from the very beginning, the more this club grows, the more we all gonna grow. The bigger this platform gets, the bigger the platform's gonna be for people that vibe with the club. My club members can get on. You know what I'm saying? This was the mission behind it. I'm sticking to it. So appreciate you, man. To anybody else, any last minute comments, questions, suggestions before we hop off? Let's see. Y'all been going crazy. And I ain't never been on live with this many comments before. This is the
Yo, this is
first
my
time.
first time on IG Live. Usually I'm on Facebook Live. I'm about to start doing IG Live
Oh, word?
more. Well, I say that, but I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
gonna have
like
you on the live. We're gonna flip it in. I'm gonna interview you on the live one day.
flip it around. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
definitely because this is the way to like quickly create and produce content right here for our Instagram, you know.
yeah,
And I want when people come to it, they can have some content there, they could gain some knowledge. There's something they could take away, you know. And so that's why
facts.
I was like, I want to start doing these IG live series with my club members and stuff like that. And he was one of the first ones. I was like, yeah, we're gonna set this up, we're gonna do it. So
Appreciate it.
let's see, and promote on multiple platforms, Spotify, Facebook. You guys did great. Hey, appreciate you.
Oh
Appreciate you
yeah,
in the
thank you.
beginning, but definitely going back to the conversation. Can you drop the Facebook group link? I'm trying to join and support. All right, so perfect. So definitely so on Facebook we have a Facebook group called the Black Podcast Club. Now I'm gonna also tell you guys we also have another group that I'm admin for called Podcasting While Black. The main difference between these two groups is inside the Black Podcast Club, there is no advertising or marketing at all whatsoever. That is the place to go and just discuss, to ask questions, to get advice, to find guests. Like we're looking for words and content to engage. Now, in Podcasting While Black, a much larger group, that's more for community. So you are allowed to post and advertise your show. You are allowed to post links and things like that. However, due to recent events, if you're part of the group or you might have seen the post, some things may be changing on how I facilitate that group too. I talked to the other admin of the group. We're gonna be doing some great things to maybe do some stuff like this inside Podcasting While Black. Podcasting While Black has over 4,500 members now, so we're gonna start to use that platform because it's pretty much doubled since I joined. So yeah, and if you want the links to that or any of that information, just send us a DM. Any of the questions that you all want information to links or anything like that, send us a DM. I'll get it to you. Um, yeah, and I really like this idea. Logic Enterprises LLC, I appreciate you because the more platforms that you can be on, the more people you'll gravitate towards your brand and who you are. And I think that that's really key, which is to kind of be like an octopus, put all your tentacles in all the different spaces and stir the pots and bring the people in towards you. So yeah,
Maybe creating analogies, concepts, and philosophies just off the spot. Got to be the octopus. That's the key to podcasting.
look, we'll talk about the Pod Father. That's my new name, the Pod Father.
The pod father. That's accurate. That's
And Super
accurate.
Saw Walk. Great, right. So yeah, appreciate everybody for tuning in to the live today. Walt, again, appreciate you as well. Y'all be sure y'all well y'all already following the page, so I ain't gotta say all that. Y'all already know what it is, but be sure you got those post notifications on because new posts, new engagement, new everything is coming. So 2021, we're going to bigger and better and greater. So well, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody that's listening. And again, if y'all have any more questions about any links to any of the network channels or platforms that we have, just send us a DM. We're going to get you taken care of. And of course, y'all can go to the blackpodcastclub.com, sign up for your free club info session so you can learn how you can become a member as well. So one day I might be interviewing you on the live. So yeah, appreciate y'all. All right, well, we gonna close this out. I don't really know the best way to close it. Look, my little ring light to die, bro. um,
I got one coming this Saturday. I'm trying to get on that level too.
listen, I tried to be cheap and buy a little cheap one, and look, it died throughout the live. So clearly, I need to upgrade my thing. But this is all part of that creative journey, y'all, which
That's
is
right.
just doing what
That's
you can to
right.
make it work. So appreciate you all, and
And
y'all
appreciate
stay
you.
blessed and be safe out there. Appreciate
Yeah,
you.
take care, everyone.